We just got first place at locals with this deck, and I just really wanted to show it off because it's quite different from the normal Tearlaments builds that you're used to seeing. And the deck I actually played was Tearlament, Bystial, Scareclaw. And now I'm going to be going over the deck profile, and then at the very end of the video showing a test hand with it, just to show you guys what kind of end boards this deck ends on, because it's very different from what Tearlaments used to be with like Griffin and Curious setting like Eradicator or whatever. But yeah, without any further ado, let's just hop straight into deck profile. So, starting off with the tiers, we're just going to breeze through them. Very standard, just 12 of all the tier monsters, very standard about. Nothing interesting about that. 3 planet as well, incredibly good card. Instant fusion, honorary tier card, honestly. And then for the Tearlament spells, this is where it gets interesting. I play 3 Scream and 2 Grief. So the reason why I'm playing Grief in the first place is because we play Visa Starfrost. It gives you extra utility by being able to have the option of summoning out Visa Starfrost from your deck. And then being able to send like a Rhino Heart to the graveyard to either trigger it or like after your Rhino Heart gets stopped by something. And that's really good, and worst case scenario, it really just does function as a Foolish Burial. Not only that, it gives you an extra like tier name in hand, so like if you mill a Rhino Heart, you can summon it back later on, so that for example, if this was like a Foolish Burial, you wouldn't be able to do that, but now that it's Grief, you're just able to do that for sure. Summon back the Rhino Heart. Even though its mill effect isn't very good, it's still an incredibly powerful card. I think, especially in this build, it's very good. Anyways, next, 3 Screams. I was debating between 3 Screams or 3 Griefs, and then just cutting the other one to 2. Ultimately decided to go with 3 Screams. The logic behind this is, 1, it's a lot better of a mill, of course, but also on field it provides you with the benefit of being able to just beat over your opponent's monsters in the mirror match. So it makes it much easier to clear their boards, but it also makes it so you can beat over a card like Abyss Dweller. So once you reduce Abyss Dweller by 500 attack, you can essentially just summon a Shirin or something, or a Visus, and just swing over it. And then you won't have to deal with the Dweller again. And then later on your opponent's turn, when they're playing into you, you essentially have a free Havness that's able to mill 3 and reduce them by 500 again. So I really liked having Scream on board, and being able to mill it was really good. And yeah, that was it for the tier spells. Of course, this was a great discard for like Rhino Heart. The more tier names you have in hand, the more likely your mills are going to be good, because now Rhino Heart's a really good mill. 2 copies of Sulliek, that's it for the tier traps. I don't main deck Crime, I definitely side it, but I don't think Game 1 it really matters that much, because you're not going to be seeing a lot of evenly matched Game 1. Yep, that's it for the actual tier cards. Next up for the Scareclaw engine, 3 copies of Visa Starfrost. So Visas is not only like part of your Scareclaw engine, but a lot of the tier cards actually interact with Visa Scareclaw Starfrost, which is kind of cool. But the reason you play Visas is to not only do your Scareclaw combo, but also give you access to a level 6 tuner, which is important for many reasons in this deck. You have options to either go into Baron or into Beatrice, because we are playing a high number of level 6s in this deck. And just hard drawing Visas is not bad as well, so that's why I decided to max out on it. And then 1 Scareclaw Rykart. This card was glued to my hand this tournament, but shockingly it wasn't even that bad to like normal summon Rykart, because Rykart just trades into so many like different monsters. Rykart alone grabs you the Reborn, you make the Link 1, search the field spell, grab Visas, summon back the Rykart, and you have a potential like either a Baron right away with the Visas summoning it itself by popping the Link 1, or you have access to like a Dark, for example, or worst case you have access to like Dark plus like the Link 1 you summon back off its own effect can make a Sprint, and then you can send your Merly to the graveyard from there. So Rykart's actually not that bad of a draw either. It's other effects of where like where it counts a number of defense monsters on the field was also really important. A lot of people didn't play around it, and you can just punish them so hard for that because you just get a free draw off of it. And then 2 copies of Rykophobia and 2 copies of Rival. So Rival is the Reborn spell, not once per turn, so hard drawing multiple is not that bad when you have access to Visas or Rykart. And then Rykophobia, of course, is part of your combo, but also it's a Mystic Mine Out, so that was really important. You have 2 main deck Mystic Mine Outs now, and that I came up a bunch of times in the tournament where I got mined, and this was just a really good out to it. It also just outs a lot of cards, because your opponent just doesn't think this card is that threatening when you activate it. When you activate it, like you search a Visas or a Scareclaw, cool, they're like, oh, whatever, it's not a tier monster, it doesn't do anything. But a lot of the times people are summoning stuff in defense just like out of like habit, because they don't want to like take life points. So being able to punish them with Planet and just pop a card for free is really, really good. And then for the Bystials, I played 3 Magma and 3 Druid Worm, so just a very small Bystial engine. I don't play like a Saronir or Lubellion or the branded stuff. I don't think it's needed. Bystials in this deck are not only your hand traps, but they also function as your level 6 extenders to make Beatrice. Because we have Visas, we have Garura, and now we have the Bystial, so we can make Beatrice very easily. And Beatrice is an incredibly powerful card because you're able to do something on your turn and you're able to disrupt your opponent on their turn as well. And of course, just very obviously, these are just really great cards in the mirror and like a lot of the matchups that you're scared of. And worst case, they're just hand traps that replace themselves, so really powerful. And then for the final 3 cards, the going second cards, I decided to play triple tactics talent. My logic with this was it be able to counter our opponent's Bystials very, very well, because you can punish them by either stealing it, making dark, taking their Magnemut, triggering Magnemut, and then making like sprint or something. Or like if you're playing into a board, you can just tactics like helps you break that board as well. So that was the choice I decided to make. You can definitely play Secret Poly in here instead, but I really like tactics. 40 cards in the main, so pretty streamlined and very consistent. Moving on to the extra deck, 2 copies of kit, 1 Kaleido, 1 Ruo Kalos for the tier fusions. Very standard. The double kit doesn't come up that often, but I guess there isn't anything in the extra deck that like really needed to be played so that you could just end up cutting one of the kits. So I decided just to go with the second kit as the 15th card. Didn't really come up, but it's just nice to have. And then for the other 3 fusions, very standard, Stapelia, Garura, and Mudragon. And then for our Link monsters, we play Scareclaw Lightheart. This is the Link one that helps you do your combo by searching the Reichphobia. So if you didn't know, like Visa Starfrost just turns into this, which searches the field spell, which searches the Reichheart. Reichheart summons itself, searches the Reborn spell. The Reborn spell brings back Visas, and like right off the bat, there you have access to a Sprint play, an Elf play, or a Barone play, like at worst. So it's just really, really powerful. How this Link one is just honestly insane. I can't really say much more about it. And then next for the Link 2s, 1 Dark. This card's insane as well in this deck. Not much to really say there. And then for the sprites, 1 Elf, 1 Sprint. Pretty standard. Sprint is incredibly good. Of course, it just means you now have access to Merly, like even with random bodies on board. So for example, your Scareclaws can now get you to act to your tier engine by summoning Sprint, which is really, really good. And then for the last Link monster, I played Borreload. So you may have seen this in like some deck profiles a few weeks ago. Borreload, the theory was it outs not only Avermax, but it also just makes it so like in the mirror when you're trying to beat a card like Dweller, you're able to either like take their Dweller and Dweller them, or like you just take one of their big like fusions and beat over the Dweller, or something like that. And then this is just an annoying monster your opponent has to deal with. But yeah. Never summoned it. You can definitely play a card like Underworld Goddess from the Closed World instead, and that can be an out to something like the Ignister Link 6 or something like that. But it just really didn't come up that much to where it really mattered. But yeah, that's just something I would consider cutting for like the Underworld Goddess. 1 copy of Baron, you're able to make this with Visas, so honestly kind of insane because Baron is still a very strong card. And then for the XYZs, 1 Dweller and 1 Beatrice, so Dweller for obvious reasons. It's very good in the mirror, good into a lot of matchups as well. And then Beatrice is kind of like the tech part of my deck. So this is the card that not many other decks are playing. Beatrice, like I mentioned, is just insane because on your turn, you're able to either dump a tier name or dump a Scream to search a Sulliek. And then on your opponent's turn, you can just dump a tier name and then fuse from there. So Beatrice is honestly just super powerful, very easy to make because you do have access not only Garura with the tiers, you have Visas with like your tier cards and your Scareclaw cards, and then you have the Bystials if you hard draw them or something. So Beatrice, incredibly good card, and really makes the end board a lot more dynamic. So now that we've gone through the deck profile, let me just quickly go over 1 test hand to show you guys what this deck can actually do. Alright, so we are going to finish shuffling up, and then we are going to go with a going first test hand. So let's see what we can open and what we can end on. So we can start with Scareclaw Arrival, Tearlaments Shiren, Tearlaments Shiren, Tearlaments Merly, and Tearlaments Gree. So this is a pretty nice hand because we have access to Rhinoheart with the Grief. If we do end up milling Vice of Starfrost, the Scareclaw Arrival will be really huge as well. So honestly, with this hand, I would just start off with the Tearlament Shiren. Shiren being able to discard the other copy of Shiren. The reason I'm doing that is because we can save our normal summon for Merly, which means Merly will provide us with like a level 2 for Sprint or for Elf later. So we're going to activate the Shiren, discarding Shiren, milling Planet, Instant Fusion, and Druiswurm. So complete miss, but that's totally fine, because now we can activate the Shiren effect, putting these two to the bottom of the deck, and then special summoning out our copy of Kitkalos. And Kitkalos is going to specifically search Rhinoheart. The reason we're doing that is because we have access to Grief. And once we summon this Rhinoheart to the board using either our normal summon or Kitkalos' own effect, probably Kitkalos' own effect, we're going to be able to Tearlaments Grief away our Rhinoheart and summon out a Visa Starfrost because they're both warriors, and that will start our Scareclaw combo. So we're going to activate the Kitkalos, summoning the Rhinoheart out, Chainlink 1, Rhinoheart, Chainlink 2, Kitkalos. It really doesn't matter what we hit here with the Kitkalos at all, because we have one guaranteed with Rhino anyways. So here we hit Scream and Merly. Cool. We're just going to end up using both the Scream and the Merly and the Habness that we're going to end up sending off of Rhinoheart. So now Scream is going to be able to add as a Solic, which is a very good part of our end board. We're going to be able to summon out a Rokalos to protect us from like Nibiru or something if our opponent has it, but Rokalos is also just a really good part of our end board. And then we are going to make a copy of Mudragon of the Swamp. So putting these two back, we are going to summon out our Mudragon of the Swamp, and then we are going to summon out our Tearelements Rokalos. And then from here, we are going to be able to activate our copy of Tearlaments Grief. The reason we're summoning defense, by the way, is because the Scareclaws play very well into like defense position monsters. So we're going to be able to summon out our Visa Starfrost. And then send our Rhinoheart, because Rhinoheart is a warrior and that matches with Visa Starfrost, and Tearlaments Grief can absolutely summon Visa Starfrost. So that's also the reason why I decided to put it in my deck. So now we're going to link off the Visa Starfrost into a copy of Scareclaw Lightheart. Lightheart effect is going to add us Primitive Planet Reichphobia. Activating the Reichphobia is going to allow us to add a Scareclaw monster or Visas to our hand. We're going to be adding Reichheart, and now special summoning out Reichheart. Its effect's going to let us add a Scareclaw Arrival, but since we have 3 or more defense position monsters on the field, we are actually going to be able to get the additional effect to draw 1 card as well. So from here, we're just going to draw a random card. Doesn't matter what it is. Merly, less than ideal, but it's not a big deal at all. We are now going to end up normal summoning the Merly. You probably don't want to use this effect because we already used up all of our tier names. We already milled the Scream to search a Solic, so the only thing we can hit is the one of Solic in our deck. And at that point, it's just not really worth it. You rather conserve the resources in your deck. So we are going to link off those two specifically for a copy of Sprite Elf. And now from here, we are going to be able to activate Scareclaw Arrival, summoning back our copy of Visa Starfrost, and then from here we are going to be able to turn both the Reichheart and the Visa Starfrost into a copy of Baronne de Fleur. And then since we actually still have access to the second Scareclaw Arrival, since we hard drew it, we're going to be able to special summon back the Scareclaw Reichheart and then overlay the two for a copy of Abyss Dweller. So now essentially we have a Dweller, Baron, a Rokalos, we have a Solic, and then whatever elf is summoning, can summon back the Merly, and then we can potentially just mill 3 as well. And whether we hit or not, we can guarantee the trigger with Solic or with Rokalos. There is, like, you can say there's an issue with this board because you do lose to, quote-unquote, lose to a card like Super Poly. And in reality, Super Poly, like, in this case, is kind of no better than like a Forbidden Chalice, because essentially just trades with the Dweller in the sense that Rokalos can just summon itself back after being super polyed away. So it's really not that big of a deal. So like even if we get super polyed, like we have Rokalos, which can send them Merly in our hand to guarantee a fusion monster. We have Solic, or we have Solic as a negate, and we have Elf summoning back Merly, which can potentially hit more names, but that should just be enough to stop our opponent, considering they're down cards after super polying us anyways and just making a useless Mudragon. So that's sort of one of the end boards that this deck can end on. I did say Beatrice was a very integral part of the end board, but since we didn't open a Bystial, it's And it makes it a little more awkward to go for Beatrice, so I decided to go for Dweller instead in display. But yeah, in the end, it's usually something along like the lines of this, plus either Beatrice or Dweller, depending on like your mills and your hand. So yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think about the deck in the comment section below. Of course, this deck probably will have to change a lot once these Yugioh cards are officially out. But if you don't want to play the Yugiohs, this is definitely a very good, like, quote-unquote mid-range version of the tiers, which will be a lot of bang for your buck, because you not only get to play like the Bystials as like engine cards, but you also get to use them as like disruption against the Yugiohs. So if you consider the Yugioh matchup, like, sure, they can mill like a bunch of times, but they only have 3 like valuable tier names, and just being able to play like the Bystials can just completely like nullify that, especially if your opponent like doesn't want you to summon the Bystial. They'll be forced to shuffle back their own Tearlaments monster. But yeah, that's just my initial thoughts about that matchup. But hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, leave a like, comment, and subscribe. But with that being said, I will see you guys in the next one. Take care.